See. All right, I'm Gwen Peterson. Most people know me as the founder of Spiritual Communities Network and also for Insights and Illuminations. The emotional guidance scale really came at a point in my life when I just felt like I was missing a piece of the puzzle. All right, that I had done everything, society says. You go to school, you graduate, you go to college, you get a job, you get married, you have kids, and everything's supposed to just be wonderful, right? Everything's supposed to be spectacular. And things just weren't running really smooth. And I started to kind of check out spirituality. What's that all about? I was um, going, the Wayne Dyer, Deepak Chopra, back when they were first starting. Okay, I'll date myself. When they first started, I was there, I was checking them out. There was a lot of positive thinking speakers. Um, and I think some of them are still around. And there was a lot of books that were starting to come out at the time. It was more of a new thing. So I was doing all the reading, attending the different classes, going to the different seminars and saying, I get all fired up. I feel really good when I leave there, but I can't put it into practice once I get home. I don't understand why, I was starting a meditation practice at that time. I was starting to journal, and that was helping. And that was helping a lot. But it seemed like as soon as I had to enter back into my day-to-day experience, the wheels would just come off and things just, I'm like, whatever's supposed to be holding this together is not there. I don't understand this. And so I spent my meditation going, can someone please explain this to me? So my sister reaches out to me. She's not fully aware that I'm going through this crisis, but she was a fan of Wayne Dyer. So she reached out to me, and she was in California and said, hey, I was just watching him on PBS and he's doing one of his talks on one of his new books. And, I bought the whole kit and caboodle, and I got free tickets to his next talk when he's here. And I said, well, I'm just not getting it with that. So I don't know if I want to see Wayne again. And she's like, just come out. You never know. You just never know. So a girlfriend and I flew out to California, and we go to his talk, and we were on break, and I'm standing out in the hallway thinking, nothing's really, it's not clicking. Something's still not clicking. And I'm looking down and I see this book, and it gets my attention. And I'm like, this is kind of different. I think, I'll get this book and maybe it has something. It was intriguing. The information in the front page was, I was like, all right, this could be something to check out. Excuse me. The book was Asking It Is Given by Esther and Jerry Hicks, and it's a channeled book of Abraham, which is a collective group of entities, for want of a better word, angels, guides, whatever you want to put on as a label. So Esther channels them, and in this book, the first half of the book is all about the premise that they have, okay, what they are, what it's all about, where they're coming from on that. And I was kind of like, they're speaking my language. They're kind of speaking my language. And then the last half of the book was about these processes that you could do, the little games, tools that you could play with to kind of help change up your life. And what all of this really was working from was the emotional guidance scale. And what made sense about it was that when you go ahead and, if you it I'm trying to think where I wanted to start. When you do your meditation work, let's go there. When you're doing your meditation work, it's all about quieting your mind, getting into a now moment, allowing yourself to just kind of quiet down. You're watching your um, thoughts go by, you're not engaging them. You're allowing yourself to move into a space that is in alignment with your soul, okay, with spirit, with God, however you want to, describe that. So you move into that space. Journaling will help with that. And so I'm going to say that most people, if they're doing a practice such as meditation or mantras or any type of spiritual type work, they have the belief system that God is a loving, peaceful, joyful God. Okay. He's not a vindictive, hateful
What are you
God
doing?
or punishing type,
I had to
God.
do this little thing.
I'm going to
Whoa.
mute that one. So we went ahead and I was like, that was one of my things too growing up. Religion, they made him a very fearful person or entity, and it just never registered with me. I'm like, that just doesn't make sense, that would be God. So the emotional guidance scale really kind of put the whole physical and spiritual parts together for me because this if you are in alignment with God, if you're in that space, you feel peace, love, and joy. And that's the energy of God. That's that universal energy. For those that don't like to use the word God because of their religious past, the universe, spirit, whatever term you want to use for that supreme being, okay, um, is peace, love, and joy at its core and all the way through. It's nothing more, nothing less. It is just um, at a level we can't even start to comprehend from where we're at. And when you go into your practice and you are able to move into a peaceful, joyful, loving place, then you're in connection with God energy, which is the essence of who you are, right? Your soul, which is your essence, is peace, love, and joy. So when you're in that space, then you are connected. You're where you need to be. Life is good things. I'm not going to say the rest of your life is going to be perfect because that would not be truthful, but you move into a place where you have a better understanding of what's happening to you, what's happening in your life. You are able to navigate it a whole lot better, and you'll find that anything that really comes up, hurdles, you kind of glide over them or move around them. It's not, they don't trip you up like they used to. And that comes down to the emotional guidance scale. So here's the emotional guidance scale, my friends. Joy, peace, love, empowerment at the top, fear, grief, depression, and disempowerment at the bottom. All right. And the whole idea behind the emotional guidance scale is learning to really tap into your emotions, learning to be aware of those emotions. Because this scale means nothing if you don't stop and go, hey, you know what? I really don't feel good right now, or I'm really angry right now, or that person just really ticked me off, you know. And in those, and it's not that those emotional emotions are bad, it's about the fact that you're aware that you're having these emotions. And it takes a little bit of time to really finesse it. And when you do, and so that'd be like one of the steps is learning to tune into your emotions. And then as you tune into your emotions, you use your guidance scale to determine where am I on the scale and how do I move up? All right. And we're not talking that you move from the bottom to the top in one fell swoop. Okay. Some topics move easier than others. Some you've had around for a long period of time. It might take you a little while. You might be hanging out in blame and worry for a little bit until you can move out of it. But the idea is to move up from wherever you're at and begin to feel the relief that comes with that. And I'll give you an example. A lot of times, people who are fearful or grieving or powerless, they they'll get angry. They'll have these sudden outbursts where they'll yell at somebody, because they've been stuffing that down. They don't want people to know they're afraid. They don't want people to see that they're depressed. They're putting up a front or not going out and let people be exposed to it. So they stuff it away and then they wander into the store and they find out that their favorite food or beverage has gone up 5 cents and they explode. Or somebody cuts them off on the road and that's it. And they have a meltdown. They explode. All right. And unfortunately, society would tell them that that's bad. Don't you shouldn't be angry. You shouldn't get angry. Angry is not a good thing. And in some cases, maybe, but in this situation, when we're talking about working with the emotional guidance scale, what you're going to start to notice is when you move out of those lower energies, you got to go through anger. Anger's up there at 17. Okay. It's a big jump, but it's usually an easy one because, like I said, people will explode. They'll start yelling and screaming. They'll be all angry and they feel the relief in that. There's relief that comes from moving from those lower energies through anger. I'm not talking about staying there. I'm not talking about acting out on your anger. All I'm saying is that when you can go from something that disempowers you, the thoughts, okay, if you have a thought about something and it's disempowering or makes you fearful, okay, and there's a lot of that going on right now, with the COVID. Doesn't matter which side you're on, doesn't matter if you're vaccinated or not, it doesn't matter. You're a bad guy, okay, or somebody's got a story to pump you full of fear. And in that fear, you are really powerless to really do a lot of things. You might find your life's not moving real well. Things are a struggle. And then all of a sudden you'll get angry and you can feel that relief as you move out of that. But when people tell you it's bad and you're not aware of the emotional guidance scale, people only know one way to go, and that's back to what they knew. All right. It's going back to that fearful place because, anger's bad. So they go back to fear. They go back to depression. And yes, there's clinical depression. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the people who get in a depression cycle where they're depressed, they start to come out of it, and they get jammed back into it because of well-meaning people telling them that being angry is not a good thing. So anger, when you're moving out of those lower energies, is a good thing, and you move through it. So the next thing you would move into is blame's an easy one too, right? There's always a lot of blame to go around, whether it's ourselves or someone else. We're able to point a finger, and in doing that, we feel the relief. Okay. We feel the relief of where we were just at. And that is the only thing you're shooting for when you're working with the emotional guidance scale is to feel the relief of where you just were. Does it mean you're going to get to joy that day? Maybe not. Maybe not. It might take a little bit of time, but that's okay. So long as you're staying aware of where you're at and moving out of it. Any questions so far? All right. So you're moving through these. And I'll give you a for instance. All right. So I'm living up in Michigan. It's not where I want to be. It's cold, it's dark, it's icky, and sun is just not one of the things it has. So I'm in the kitchen. My coffee pot, for whatever reason, has decided it's going to overflow and it is spewing out the top coffee grounds and hot coffee all over the counter. As that's happening, I'm realizing I'm late at getting my daughter out of the house. to get her to school. And I look out my window, and my dog has broken loose off of his rope, or off the, yeah, he was on a rope, and he has broken loose and is running through the neighbor's yard and heading for a very busy highway type of road. Okay. A very busy road that's just a couple blocks away. And I just stood there and I didn't even know how to react at that moment. This was pre, really getting a handle on things. And so I just started getting really angry and I just started yelling. I yelled at the coffee machine and I was yelling. And my husband came in and he said, he goes, "What are you doing?" I said, I am so over this stuff. I'm over this cold, snowy weather and gray days, a dog that runs away, school that is not cooperative and on a decent hour to get kids to school." I said, and a coffee pot that's overflowing. And he is like, "Well, getting mad isn't a good thing." See where that comes from? Well, getting mad, that's not a good thing. You shouldn't be getting mad about it. I'm like, "Oh, I'm mad." And then I sat with it later and I was like, that was where I needed to go. That's how I felt better. And so my husband asked me about that later. He's like, "So I have to ask you, seeing how you're getting so spiritual and everything." He goes, "This morning." He goes, "What was that?" He goes, "You like exploded and you were angry." He goes, "What was up with that?" He goes, "That's not very spiritual." And I stopped and I said, "No, actually, it was very spiritual because for the first time in a long time, I actually felt better." I finally just kind of let out everything I'd been stuffing for months. I said, I felt good. And so I got my book out and I was like, okay, let's work this emotional guidance scale thing. And and that's when I really started to delve into it. And I really saw the power in it. And as I worked it, I could see how things around me in my life and the people I was dealing with, they would change along with me. So if, I moved out of that fearful place, I suddenly didn't have fearful people around me anymore. So I want you to be able to feel comfortable in knowing that if you can stop in a moment when you're not feeling your best, you're not feeling really good, and you can stop and tune into where you're at. And probably the best way to do that is to think about the thought you were just thinking. All right. What is the thought you were just thinking, and how does it make you feel? All right. So then you go ahead and you find that spot on there and you start to find thoughts on that topic that would resonate with those higher frequencies. All right. So you move up and you're going to feel the relief. And as you do this, and I always suggest that you have a copy of the emotional guidance scale with you so you can work on it on the fly. I keep one in my journal. I always have one handy, and I've been doing this for 20 years. All right. And I still find myself, and it'll come up in really crazy ways. Like I'll be talking to somebody, and I'll say, "I'm just really feeling overwhelmed right now," and then I'll go, "Oh, oh." I'm feeling overwhelmed. Where am I on the, on the scale? And overwhelmed, well, it's number 11. It's like smack dab in the middle. It's not real bad and it's not real good. And so it puts you in a place of being overwhelmed. And what I love about that middle ground, that yellow, is it's a place where you're on the cusp of change. Okay. You've pretty much cleaned up the negative energy that's holding you back, and then you're right on the cusp of going into where everything flows the way you want it to, or flows in a way that you understand or okay, you're opening up those gates of um, well-being. If you're having issues with your health, the more you can stay in the green area, the better you're going to be feeling and the better your body's going to heal. Because remember, the green area is more in line with the God energy, okay, the universal energy of peace, love, and joy. When you're in the vicinity of that, good things are happening on a cellular level because your cells are now doing what they do. Because again, your essence is in the green zone. And when you're in the green zone, your cells vibrate at that, your brain starts to vibrate at that. Everything just kind of starts to move in that direction, making it easier. And that's that connection that we look for when we're doing our spirituality, and it's the emotions. So it's not so much the words that people throw around, oh, don't say that you can't say that, that's a terrible thing to say. No, if it's in your head, you're thinking it, and that's where you're at on the emotional guidance scale. So if you're having thoughts that, other people might be like, oh, you might want to think about that, or you don't want to be saying, that might be a little red flag to you to go, hey, I think I got to clean something up here. It's not that you don't want to do it. It's not that you want to stuff that energy away. What you want to do is sit down and go, okay, where am I and where do I want to go? Because I want to go up the scale. I want to feel better. And when you do that enough times, you'll start to notice when you're going down the scale. You're real excited, something wonderful has happened, you're all pumped up and ready to go, and you tell some person that you thought would understand, and they just kind of take a pin and put a pop your little bubble, and you just feel yourself just wee down the scale, just down that scale. And before you can put the brakes on, you might be at disappointment or doubt or worry. Now they got you all worried. Is that really going to work? Was I thinking this out right? Am I supposed to be doing this? And then you have to go, whoa, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Somebody just moved me to worry, and I know where I'm at and I know where I need to go. And you just kind of start working your way back up. I had a conversation with somebody on a topic, and as we were talking, I was like, I couldn't, it was like I kept dancing around the point and I couldn't think of, finally, I just said to him, I don't, you know what? I'm bored. That's what it is. I'm just flipping bored. And as I said the word, I knew exactly. I'm like, guess what I'll be doing tonight when I'm journaling? I'll be getting out the old guidance scale, looking at boredom, and starting to fire up some nice, hopeful thoughts, hopeful words of wisdom for myself, to start moving myself up back into the space I want to be in order for things to get moving. Because that energy speeds up. The quicker, when you're in the green, things move fast. When you're in the red, things move really slow. Takes forever for things to happen, people to get back to you, things to turn around. And that's the essence of the emotional guidance scale. It was game changer for me, huge game changer. And as I mentioned, it's such a game changer that I've decided to create a master class. So I'm going to put that baby together. I'm going to be promoting it out soon. And hopefully we'll get some people working with their emotions in a more healthy way, especially right now. I think because COVID really affected everybody in some really unique ways. Between the isolation that took place, and then now that people are starting to move around more, they're a little overwhelmed. Some people have told me, they're like, I'm overwhelmed by the whole thing. you know I'm just, there's too much, it's too loud, it's too many people. I don't know, I don't feel comfortable with the situation. But in those statements, and if you're using those statements, think about it with the emotional guidance scale. If you are overwhelmed right now going out and doing things, look where it's at on the scale. Again, number 11, right? So that means that you're very close to being in a really good place. Now, I heard somebody say, yeah, they'll just get used to it. People, anybody who's overwhelmed right now, they'll just get used to it. You know what? And you don't want to get used to it. Right? You don't want to numb yourself to being overwhelmed. All right. You don't want to stuff that down. You want to look at it. What about it is overwhelming? Be specific with yourself. What is overwhelming you? And then you pick things that are a little bit higher. Are you bored with the situation? Can you think about bored or frustrated thoughts that give you relief from where the overwhelming is? Maybe you can go into hopeful that, things will turn around and things will be better, and whatever words work for you. And again, it's about you and how it resonates with you. So that's what I got to say about it.